Now, New York, one step closer to legalizing marijuana. Lawmakers voting on a bill tomorrow, which is not just about making cannabis legal, but also about reparations for black and brown communities.
Anthony Posada has seen the impact marijuana enforcement, that is, has had in these neighborhoods while working on the front lines as a supervising attorney for the Community Justice Unit at the Legal Aid Society. And he does join us this morning to break down this new law, what it's going to mean for New Yorkers. Good morning, Anthony. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so this bill is a long time coming for New York, right? Would you consider it one of the most progressive laws in the country?
It's definitely posed to be the gold standard. It's going to put New York in a new chapter and ahead of many, many states because of the fact that it's centering black and brown communities that historically have borne the brunt of marijuana criminalization. As a result of that, it's definitely going to be a leader in the nation.
You know, I want to get into the specific details of the bill, right? Because once it's signed into law by the governor, I think New Yorkers are wondering, are they able to then just walk around the streets smoking marijuana like people who smoke cigarettes?
Well, not exactly. The bill includes provisions for licenses of on-site consumption, where it will be permitted for people to smoke marijuana. And this is something that the bill conceives. And what is important to keep in mind is that if there are restrictions in areas that say that public smoking is not allowed, like cigarettes are not allowed, then the same would apply to marijuana. The way that it's going to be differentiated is that it will no longer subject people to an arrest, which is one of the very important provisions that was struck in this tentative deal, which has to do with the way in which odor of marijuana will be treated, so that it will no longer be used to control black and brown bodies, which is historically what has happened under the marijuana criminalization here in New York.
I know there's the race issue to this. I know there's the money and tax issue to this, but I want to get to the parental issue in this, because when parents look at this, they worry, and I'm glad that you started explaining some of the key components here, but they worry, I'm going to have my children on the streets, in buildings, in apartments, and I don't want them to be subjected to smelling marijuana and having to have some of the after effects of it. So what is being done to protect people from that?
It's very important that you bring that up. In fact, when speaking about the legalization of marijuana and why it's important for the state to regulate it, it's because of the fact that right now in the illicit market, minors can have access to marijuana. And not only that, but marijuana that is not tested in a lab, is not controlled, and doesn't have a criteria by which it is regulated. In a legal framework, the dispensaries are not going to risk losing their licenses by selling to minors. Packages will have to be created that have to meet standards so that we know exactly what is contained in them. And these packages will also have to meet standards so that they're seal-proof and children can't just be opened.
Yeah, but I don't mean selling to minors. I'm just talking about parents who, children, they're strolling them around, you know, and then they're having to smell that and the secondhand effects of it. What is being done for that?
Well, I think the scenario that's very similar to that is right now, if I walk out of my house and somebody starts smoking cigarettes, I don't have to continue to walk behind or next to that person. I can go around. I don't want to have any of that secondhand smoke. And as I mentioned, right, it's not right now, if you walk out in certain areas of New York, depending on where you are, you're already going to be smelling some of that. So to parents that are concerned about, well, is suddenly going to be, the streets are going to suddenly be filled with smoke. It's not the case as if suddenly we turned into a legal state and now more people are accessing marijuana. It's actually, there's been studies to show that it lessens some of the effect that's surrounded with the coolness of doing it because of how normal it becomes.
It's going to be very interesting because I think there is a bit of a mind shift that's going to have to happen for so many folks, right? Because you bring up that point of cigarette smoke, and I think there is that mind shift. There's also that loophole because you're saying that the packaging has to be there, but minors could still get their hands on it as they do now and as they get cigarettes now, right? But I want to get into the legislation and what it exactly includes, including the reparations for communities of color. Here is a lot to take in right now. Previous marijuana convictions will be expunged. Personal possession allowed up to 3 ounces. 24 grams of concentrate. Now, tax revenue to education, community grants, drug treatment, public education funds, 50% of business licenses to minorities of women, farmers, and disabled vets. Here's my question. What is the legality then or illegality of some things? Dealing, for example.
Yeah, But what exactly is the question? Sorry.
Like if you're dealing on the streets, that is still illegal.
Well, right now under this tentative deal, right, selling to a minor, if you sell to a minor, you're subjected to um, an infraction, right? You are actually subjected to that, but it would be a civil infraction, and the three possessions of 3 ounces, so that you can have them on you, also marks a cap, so that somebody can be going around with extra amount of marijuana. Dealing, what we have seen occurs in other states is that actually dispensaries become the prime sources where people buy them. So it will make a progressive shift to that.
Can we squeeze in one more quick question, and we have to go? But if you have a marijuana offense right now on your record, real quick, we only have 20 seconds. What do you do when this bill is signed into law?
So this bill envisions automatic expungement of those convictions. And so it's important for people to know, if they have those previous marijuana convictions, that those convictions are going to be expunged. If they do have questions, they can definitely reach out to us at the Legal Aid Society. There's a project called the Case Closed Project that is helping people seal their convictions and is spearheading this new stage, once the bill is signed into law, to help people navigate that process if they have any open questions.
Understood. Anthony, thank you so much for your time and analysis this morning. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.